Calling all nerds. This is More Than Dice, the podcast where we dive deep into the realms of everything nerdy. Whether you're a nerd culture connoisseur, a tabletop titan, a miniature gaming marveler, or just someone who proudly embraces their inner geek, this is the podcast for you. And now here's your hosts, Gonzo, Nerd, and Mizzy.
Welcome to the episode of More Than Dice. I'm Gonzo.
I'm Nerd.
I'm Mizzy.
Welcome to episode 304. We're going to be talking about changes. There's been a lot of changes recently, and we figured we would talk about it, not only in miniature world, scheduling, mental health, you name it. So we figured we would kind of do one about changes. But before we do that, we got to get to the business. We want to thank Creature Caster for sponsoring our channel and providing us with cool miniatures. And if you haven't do it, check on our tab or in our chat, and you can find the 5th edition World of Reclamation stuff, where you can get a bunch of 3D miniatures to go with an adventure. It's a little tribe thing, so aka like a Patreon. We want to thank Cuttlefish Colors for sponsoring the channel, providing us with some awesome glazing and sketch colors and just basic colors all around. We want to thank Turbo Dork for providing us with amazing metallics and turbo shifting paints. They've been doing some really cool stuff. Go check out their things. And if you haven't bought their rubber dry palette or their stirring sticks, you got to get them.
Love the stirring sticks.
Yeah, I use them a lot more than I thought I would. I was like, they're just little rubber, stirring sticks. And I'm like, oh, I'm doing airbrushing. Here's my stirring stick. I'm doing this. I'm doing that.
Yeah, I think they're silicone as well, like the palette.
Yeah, they're silicone
Yep.
also. They got like I won't say a metal rod, but some type of rod in the middle of it to keep them kind of stiff.
They're stiff in the middle and flexible on the ends.
Yes, they are. We want to thank Midnight Heroes for the making of good chibi miniatures and a good chibi game. Hopefully we'll see them. I think they're going to be at ReaperCon next, but I'm not sure. So we'll have to wait and see.
That sounds right. But they do have their summer sale going on right now.
Yeah,
still,
they do have a
though,
summer
right?
sale. I think it's like 20% off everything in their store. So go in there and check it out and see what you've got. If you like good chibi miniatures, Brian can always use a good, sale. We want to thank Muse on Minis for hosting our channel. Make sure you go check out their store. They got a ton of things going on. We do have like some good codes, so if you want to use that, you can click the links and get in there and buy cool stuff, and it helps us out. So, other than that, I think that's it. We got some all.
No shout outs this week.
Hey, we also have cheap viewers on our chat channel.
I'm sure we do.
I mean, I'm cheap, but I'm not a viewer. I'm a hoster.
Mizzy got it. Beat me to it.
Damn right I did. Now.
So, yeah, I don't think there was any shout outs this week. I didn't see anything or anything happen. I don't know any shout outs or whatever.
No, I checked before we went live and nope, nothing.
No, I didn't see anything.
Some sports person I'd never heard of.
Yeah, didn't hear anything. So we can get to the really cool stuff. Nerd, what are you drinking tonight?
Water, because it's hot.
Mizzy, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking fancy bubbly water.
Ooh, which flavor?
Kiwi strawberry.
Kiwi strawberry, yeah.
I had some of that earlier.
It's my default go-to. I mean, It's not hard to guess.
Yeah,
Gonzo, what about you?
So I'm taking the nerd route. I am drinking water also. I did a lot of yard work, and I did have some alcohol last night, so I'm replenishing all my water. So it is balls hot out there, guys. I don't care where you're at. It is really freaking hot right now. So make sure you're drinking plenty of water if you're going to be outside doing any yard work. Or just outside period. If you're going to be out on the Pride Parade, make sure you bring some water for that, because walking on that asphalt, if you're doing it on a road, is not comfortable.
That's correct.
It is going to be hot, hot, hot this summer. And oh my God, are the bugs out like crazy this year. I mean, I have not seen so many bugs this year than ever. Flies, gnats, you name it. We had a horrible winter, so it didn't kill any of the bugs, enough bugs off. So
I am jealous of you, Cookie.
You know what, Cookie? I'm happy for you.
Shut up, Cookie.
We have 3 completely different reactions. Jealousy, happiness, fuck you.
So Cookie was saying it's 56 degrees and raining. It reached
Look,
97 today, so it was.
I could be mad at the heat, and the weather, but I'm not going to be mad at Cookie. I'm happy that Cookie is having a fabulous time while the rest of us are dying. Thank you.
It'd be fun if he was talking Celsius. Yeah, correct. But the weather is getting really hot out there. So if you're going to be in the parade marching this year for Pride, woo, Pride Month, make sure that you're staying hydrated, because it is going to be a hot month, and this is not going to end soon. It's going to be a long one, they said. So we could have hot weather for a long time. So hopefully everybody kind of make sure they take care of themselves. Anything else? Guys, don't forget on Wednesday night that right now myself and Captain Mizzy are going to be streaming. I'm going to be working on, at least for the foreseeable future, bases for the Elven army that's coming out with Warcrow whenever those models come out. I just 3D printed some bases that will look really, really cool, which I'm going to work on today while we're talking. And then Captain Mizzy is going to be working on the Pirates.
Yeah. The Blood and Plunder set. Yeah.
Yep.
The 2-player
I think this week might be my last one for games, so I don't think we're going through the end of the month. So I might be back before July. We'll see.
Okay. That's fine.
Okay.
But
whatever's.
No, Mizzy, only me. No, I'm kidding.
But we're going to be doing that. We do have some one-shots, some fat-ass one-shots that we might be playing. So we're going to have some fun.
It is not a matter of might. It is a matter of when.
We also will be doing some more battle discussions. I'm waiting on some pictures for our Relic Blade discussion.
Yes.
We got to get that going. We will do another Warcrow. We're going to be playing Warcrow again this weekend because we, figured out some rules and some stuff, and we got to, just redo some things. Nothing big.
Something else that we could do, Gonzo.
What?
We could play a bigger game of Relic Blade.
Bigger game of Relic
Bigger?
Blade?
A bigger game.
Yeah, do more points. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's put that on the docket.
Yeah.
Because we got another Warcrow that we're going to do, and then we got the Blood and Plunder that we need to do. We also need to talk about, we've been given some documents for a couple of games. We need to do a discussion about those games. We're getting really full on stuff that we're having to it's been a while since before we, when we first started streaming. Lately, we've been getting the requests to do, hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do that? Can you get this? Will you, yeah, we want to. We want to get everybody in and talk about everything. We aren't, like I said, we're not these huge professional, podcast stuff. But if somebody gives us something, we'll talk about it and discuss it. And certain things are coming out with Gen Con right around the corner. A lot of people are like, hey, can you pimp this? Can you talk about this? And so we're coming around. It's just going to take a little bit. Type thing. So, and some independent stuff, not just big company stuff, but
we're famous.
Well, we're not famous.
We're gonna be famous.
I did find it hilarious. So when Captain Mizzy and I went to the convention to go play at the Iron Gauntlet, the 3 people that were coming from Texas were geeking out. They were like, are you Gonzo from More Than Dice and Mizzy from More Than Dice? And we're like, yeah. And they're like, oh my God. And it was still hilarious.
Little fangirl moments.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I'm like, yeah, that me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like totally because he's like he said on the way they were driving up, this guy's like, guys, I think this is Gonzo from More Than Dice is going to be there. We got to, I think this is Gonzo from More Than Dice. So I'm like, cool. Which I thought was great. It's always nice to hear from our fans. So even if you're just a small fan and you just listen to us every once in a while, don't care. It's always nice to know that we're being listened to.
Yeah,
And
we
even
love.
if you don't watch us live, yes.
Yes, we love getting feedback.
Yep. I love getting yelled at. We're like, your voice sounds familiar. And I'm like, I'm not a stalker.
Aren't you though? Kinda.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
So, guys, as always, please take care of yourself. Please look after each other. If you hear something, say something. If you see something, say something. If you can do something, do something. If you can't, find somebody that will, because we've got to look after each other. Much love. Cheers.
Cheers.
Man, I'll tell you, man. Yeti cups and ice, man, they're amazing.
I couldn't find any of my insulated cups, so I have to go with the one that sweats everywhere.
You poor thing.
It's just a blender bottle because all of the ones with straws are dirty. I need to do dishes.
That's why you have a cup of just straws. And you keep it stocked.
Yep. She preaches.
Like I do.
Just like I do.
Because
Plastic
Straws.
straws.
That's smart. That's wicked smart.
So let's go to the topic. This topic came up because a lot of things are happening, not only in the gaming community, but with people and everything else going on. That I want to talk about. And each one of us is going to talk about a different subject within the spectrum of the word change. There's been a lot of changes. We talked about it last week about Team Ford Games buying the IP rights to the Iron Kingdom, and they're going to be doing War Machine and all the Iron Kingdom stuff. And we talked about that one. We're excited to have them and see what they do with it. We're still playing it. No issues there. But it got me thinking that there's been a lot of changes in the gaming community as a whole. Adepticon moving, whether we think that's a change, even though they're going maybe an hour and 15 minutes north, that's a lot of change for a lot of people. Because it put a lot of stress on a lot of people. How am I going to pay for the new hotel rooms? What's the hotel rooms going to cost? Extra gas, all that type of stuff. Just totally understandable. But that's a bigger change because, while Gen Con is a huge convention, Adepticon is our huge convention that we go to. It is our thing that we go to every year, hang out. We love it, but that was a big, it had to happen. We knew it was coming because the last 2 or 3 years it's been so packed you couldn't walk. And then
that vendor hall was very overwhelming this year.
Yeah, yes. The vendor hall was way packed. They felt like the everything was much narrower.
I don't even think I saw half of what was in there because there were so many people.
Yeah, there was a ton of people. There was a ton of vendors. But going to a new place lets them have more vendors, lets them have more games, lets everybody space out more. Also brings all those games that were in, like, the Hilton or whatever it was.
All the historicals.
And Legion, because they do Star Wars Legion out there.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Star Wars Legion had too many
I don't
people.
think I even knew about that.
Yeah, they have in the Hilton, Legion. They had to put all the historicals over there, but Star Wars Legion got so big this year, they had to move it over there also.
Oh, wow.
So this puts all the games back together in one area, which is good. Because I want to see the historical stuff. I'm not a historical player, but I like to see cool miniatures on the board, I like to see shit like that. So supposedly it's going to put all of us together back in one big convention, whatever, and all that stuff, which is great. But that is a big change. That's a big change for a lot of people, not only tabletop gamers, role players, artists, vendors, because now everybody at vendors that they're sending stuff in by pallet, they got to redo, all their stuff that's going to be sent out to Adepticon. whether it's by truck or by plane or whatever. Flights in. So I mean, it's for the best, whether we like it or not. It is going to be for the best, and I think it's great. I always like to see conventions grow and get bigger and better. And knowing the history of Adepticon, it started with a bunch of guys in their backyard type thing, parking lot, and now it's, to me, I think it's the best convention ever. It's my favorite convention of the year. So there can be a lot of anxiety around that, but trust the guys. Hank and the team are awesome. They'll do great. I know that I looked at the map of the convention center. It looks like they may get more artist rooms, so we can have more artists, because that's always been a problem, is people selling out so quickly because of limited space. So hopefully we'll get more of that.
I did see where there was talk that they were also potentially going to be expanding Fort Wapple as well.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So yeah,
that's a big deal.
Yeah. What's interesting is, while Fort Wapple, that's not an official Adepticon thing in the books type stuff, but it is a historical happy place for everybody to sit and paint. And it's a place where everybody can come together and just hang out and chill.
Yes.
And paint and just do whatever. So I mean, that's it's needed type thing.
Milwaukee is closer to Canada, Cookie. You are that much closer.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, Milwaukee's about equal distances as Chicago, so like it's not a huge difference for me, but I understand for all the people that are from the Chicago area that were used to being able to go home every night.
Yep.
To now having to get a hotel, like that changes things for a lot of people.
And that's what I'm saying. This is a big change. I believe tickets go sell January.
Yeah.
Yeah. They posted up their key dates.
Yeah, hotel starts this month or next month.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Cookie, from what we know, you don't have to buy a badge to get in still.
Yes.
But
I was able to do it without registering or paying anything last year.
Yeah. So you may not have to buy, unless you wanted to take like classes or,
play games.
You don't have to buy a badge. But we don't know. Hasn't changed. We haven't heard any change on that yet. So we'll have to wait and see.
We are the ultimate vacation destination, Cookie.
You just want to meet us all.
Well, if you can't make it to Milwaukee, there's also Warfare Weekend in St. Louis.
Which is
just throwing that out there.
Yep. And I'm going to be at Dragonfall up in northern Wisconsin in October.
You have options.
Yeah, I don't have boobs, so nobody wants to see me, so I'm not worried about it, Cookie. But
they just want your voice.
They just want my voice.
And dim ears.
And dim ears. Which, by the way,
ears. Which
Camilla.
No, no, sir.
The mirrors came off until someone pays it. But
you know, what you were yelling about. I thought you were yelling about the Camilla comment.
No, I knew what Mizzy was doing. But so I mean, and that's gonna be a big change. But it's going to be worth it. It's going to be easy. It's going to be different, but we're looking forward to it. The change up for War Machine has put a lot of people on stress and everything too. I mean, I've been playing War Machine for the last, since it's been out, and so I'm looking forward to what Steam Forge is going to do. They're going to do good. I'm not worried about it. It's just what's going to happen. I mean, it's all that what if situation, but knowing them and what they can do, it'll be awesome. But what really hit this week and really hit hard for a lot of people was Atomic Mass Games put out an announcement that they are no longer developing anything more for Star Wars X-Wing and Star Wars Armada, which is big. So Star Wars Armada hasn't had a new model in probably like 2 years, or any rules changes or anything. So, this is not a big surprise for Armada. And then X-Wing, I don't think they've had anything for over a year. Don't quote me on that. I just know it's been a long time. both of those games are really popular. I know at Adepticon, X-Wing had quite a few people. I think it was over 300 people playing X-Wing.
Oh wow.
Don't know that. Just heard rumors. Um, Armada had a decent sized people, 100 type people or whatever. Don't know the true numbers. But it was still a popular game and people still liked it. So when they said that they're no longer doing that, no longer producing or anything with the game, it's a final nail in the coffin. They said that they're still going to support convention play, and I'm like, okay, so you provide price support, but they contributed this to rising costs, getting models pre-painted, because this isn't stuff that's pre-painted. This stuff that has to be pre-painted. Distribution, et cetera, and they're going through a financial issue right now, especially with the company being split up. So it's going to be a big change. I know a lot of people that played X-Wing because that's the only spaceship fighter game out there. And Armada was the only big spaceship fighting game out there, pretty much. There's a couple but they're just like really, 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 really small. But it's also a very big IP. I mean, Star Wars. So it's no shock. You can read the thread and you can go to their webpage, and if you want to go to their Facebook page, I think like 800 and some odd comments on it. So it was a big one. A lot of people are upset. You have every right to be upset. I mean, can't tell you how you should and shouldn't feel type thing, but a lot of people saw this coming. I know at the Adepticon reveal that AMG had, there was not anything for X-Wing, and there was a lot of people that got really upset about that. And so they actually had to cut feed one time because these people were yelling about X-Wing. But I mean, this is how the thing is game companies are going to have to get very narrow on their game approach, I think, just for economy reasons, because they're just going to have to go and say, hey, we can only concentrate on X. If X makes it good, then we can look to expanding or creating more for what we're working on. AMG is still doing Shatterpoint, MCP, and Legion. That's still on the docket, so people are still playing that. But we're just gonna have to wait and see. That's a lot of miniature game companies are doing that. They're like, we're concentrating on just this. We've got to work on this because this is where our money is, and we've got to stay afloat, got to do X, Y, Z. So this is just the nature of the business, people. It's going to be a pain in the ass, but that's how it's going to be. I'm going to go ahead and start switching over to painting and go to the paint cam. And then who wants to take the next subject? Because y'all got like 30 minutes.
Not it.
Damn it.
I was waiting to see if you were going to do it.
I was thinking about it. I really was. So yeah, I'm talking about the changes that we all experience in life, scheduling, work, and how we balance it is a really good question. Like,
why did that come up this week, Mizzy?
Because I'm a very busy person, apparently. And I was talking about everything that I've got going on between the podcast and all the different games that I'm involved in now. And one of my coworkers was like, how do you do all of this? And then another one was another one went, I know you're not going to take offense to this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. You're such a nerd. And I'm like, yes, I am. So I'm not really sure how I do it. I just know that I show up and do things, and I maintain my sanity as best as I can. So, like, every other Tuesday, we've got our Black Sheep game on Nerd's channel. Gonzo and I have our vampire in-person game that we do like once a month, or more frequently if we could get our stuff together. we're starting another game in person. That we're not sure how that all is going to work out. Hopefully, more than once a month. Fingers crossed. I'm hopeful for Earthdawn.
Because Earthdawn is
Right?
legit awesome.
Sanity is overrated, and that is why I am insane all the time.
And the
Chaos.
What is the line from Killing Joke? Sanity or madness is the emergency exit.
I'm here for that. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, and then on the 29th, we've got our War Machine game, which also happens to be Pride weekend for me. And my job was trying to organize a special event for all of us to get together. And so I'm like, well, and then in our little group huddle thing, I was like, so did they mean to do that on Pride? And somebody else was like, no, I think that was just a coincidence. And, like, maybe you can split your time. And I'm like, oh, well, actually, I'm going to be out of pocket anyway. Because War Machine, I have other nerd things to do. So,
because I'm a nerd.
Because I'm a nerd and I do nerd things. And apparently, I have an honorific title of shenanigans.
Well, that tracks.
So, nerd, how do you like handle your schedules and everything?
Google Calendar is my best friend and color coding. If I didn't have things in Google Calendar, I wouldn't know when anything happened. Like, seriously, like I have my bi-weekly game that you're in. Then I've got a bi-weekly game that's starting up on Thursdays. I've got one that'll be starting up every week on Wednesdays this fall. I'm in my Daggerheart game, which is currently monthly. I've got another one on Sundays that's bi-weekly. So, plus any one-shots.
Yep.
But I also don't have a day job. Once I do get a job again, that's going to be a whole different story, and I'm going to have to cut back a lot, and I'm going to be very, very sad. But I will make it work, and I will let gaming over sleep.
Power through. You can make it work.
Yes, it was not uncommon for me. Okay, it wasn't like super common, but it wasn't unheard of for me to fall asleep during game sessions in the past, because I would, like, even if I was too tired to sit at my computer, I would I would just bring my phone and lay in bed, and then the next thing they know, they'd hear me snoring. The games break my brain if not for GCal. Oh, Google Calendar. Yeah. Like, it is an absolute must. Like, especially like my husband and I have shared calendars and all that kind of stuff. So that way he knows when I have games versus like anything else. So like, yeah, for me, color coding, Google Calendar, absolute like lifesaver when it comes to scheduling anything.
Mm-hmm.
So
And having a routine for things definitely helps too.
yeah.
So like on our Tuesday night games, I know that I'm going to be here for like 4 or 5 hours. Erica's already going to be passed out. And so I'm like, okay, we have to eat before game. I have to make sure that we are fed or have some kind of easy meal that we could just throw in the microwave. Because sustenance is important.
Yes, like me forgetting to eat before podcast all the time.
Yeah, nerd.
So I'm usually shoving food in my face while we're getting ready.
There's many a times
Don't mind me.
I've called up on Skype and it's like, I'm like, yes. I can hear you.
Yeah, no. That's It's because I'm usually writing with my co-DM right up until we get ready, so I usually just grab my food and eat while we're getting ready to go live. I'm like, no one's gonna see me but you guys, and you guys don't care.
It's fine. We know you're.
By the way, if everybody we get together like 30 minutes before the show so we can make sure everything's working and
Yeah.
go over a few things. So it's always our thing.
Noms.
That is nerd dinner time.
Yes.
Because Nerd is really bad about feeding herself on a regular schedule. Because I don't get normal hunger cues. So don't forget to eat, people. It's important.
Mhm.
Hydrate and eat.
Go hydrate.
They'll hydrate.
Hydrates.
You mean thick, not think?
Thick. Why are we talking about thick stuff?
I'm reading what Cookie wrote.
Thick
You've got a dirty
burgers.
mind, so
Thick boigas. Thick boigas. Ooh, heirloom tomatoes. Nom 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 nom.
Oh, that's
God
what
damn
I
it, Cookie! Quit making me hungry again.
I had their caprese salad, which is always good.
Ooh, I just bought a new big ass basil plant so that I can start making caprese salads.
Mm.
Also, strawberry basil water is delicious.
That does sound delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Are they thick with 3 C's though, Cookie? That's important information.
Yes. Is it 2 C's or 3 C's? We got to know how thick those burgers are. 3.
3.
Excellent.
Care for it,
Super thick.
as they should.
But yeah, another thing, so schedule changes tend to throw a wrench in everybody's plans. But not all schedule changes are permanent. When they do, try to make them and that's the hard thing, is trying to get schedules lined up with other people.
Oh my god.
Oh,
That the bane of
Yes.
all D&D.
Yes.
it's a
Yeah.
stereotype for a reason. It's because it's true.
And that's why I had 2 games going on opposite weeks. And why I ended up having to drop one is because not only was the game...
Because the black sheep were better.
Shh. Shh. We don't talk about that. Not in front of the others. No, actually, I was watching... do you know who Ginny D is? Content creator? Okay, she is a D&D content creator. She was talking about a book called Proactive Role Playing, and the Shepherds were very much a reactive group where they reacted to whatever I gave them. So it's a lot more work on my part, as opposed to having proactive players like the Black Sheep, where they're thinking ahead. And not just reacting to whatever information or storyline I feed them. And it was wearing me out, but it was also then having a game every single week and having to keep track of 2 completely different storylines and keep up with everything. So for the sake of my sanity and schedule, I dropped a game. But no, you're right, Shadow Sword. We do not talk about Bruno. I just rewatched that last night. Love that movie.
The only Bruno we talk about is in Gravediggers. Coming up. War Machine.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm like, but other changes, expected or unexpected, mental health. Like, depending on your mental health or the mental health of your players, that is also going to change schedules or just your ability to function or be able to be present for a game or hobby. Like, I went on vacation. Vacation was great. I was gone for a week, had a lot of fun. Took 2 weeks off to try and catch up with life afterward. I streamed like 1 day out of those 3 weeks, and it was very much needed to kind of get
Reset.
back into routine and reset. And it was like, gone for a week. Well, what about all the stuff you left at home kind of a thing. It's just like, but it also took a toll on my mental health because I was just like, I felt the struggle, or just some days you need a mental health day, some weeks, or sometimes you just need, you don't be afraid to give yourself a break when you need it, and like be empathetic towards others when they need a break. Because I've
And
had players.
yourself.
Yes. Compassion for yourself, compassion for others, so important. So
The struggle's
'cause-
real.
yes, the struggle is real. If you are not taking care of yourself, things are not going to go as like things can snowball and potentially get worse if you're not taking care of what you need to, including yourself, especially yourself. So
Because if you're the type of person that likes to take care of other people, but you do not take care of yourself in the same way, you're not going to be able to help those people that you want to help.
cough.
And I am calling myself out here so
Oh, yeah.
hard. 100%. I am talking to myself.
My fellow people pleasers, take care of yourself too. Yeah. I had a thought and now it's gone.
Words.
Words are hard.
So hard.
But yeah. Don't, if you need a break, don't feel guilty taking that time for yourself. Do not be hard on yourself. It is better to take a break than to push and overschedule yourself and stretch yourself too thin. Like, balance is important. And I know FOMO is a thing. Don't let that get in the way either.
Yes. Because
Yes, Seth,
You
go
are
on.
more you and what?
Sorry, I had to call someone out. Oh,
the master of unfun.
you won't get it, but Seth will. So if everybody knows, Seth Cohen is a very good friend of mine. He runs the Boca Brawl. And when we were at Adepticon, he had FOMO really bad as we were at Adepticon showing all of our pictures and stuff. And he was just like...
It's because he didn't realize that all of us were going to be there.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, well, that's just completely unfun.
Yeah, and we were just giving him shit. And so I had to throw that in there.
We love our Seth.
We love Seth. Seth is amazing.
But yes, no, I am the type of person to overschedule myself, and I really have to keep that in check, because I'll be like, oh, well, this sounds fun, and I don't like to say no when something sounds fun or exciting or I want to hang out with people, but sometimes
You got to.
I schedule you have to sometimes, and that's okay. It's okay to say no to fun times, to take care of yourself first.
And you should always. I don't care
I've been
what
working
anybody
says.
on too.
You should
Yes.
always be taking care of yourself first.
Yes, you are more important than a game. The
Correct.
game will always be there.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, very much so. Which, the interesting part that we're talking about is, we all want to do everything, whether we like it or not. There is, I posted this up on my Facebook feed today. I think it was today, about how do I keep myself motivated and so on and so forth. And it is kind of morbid. I'm not going to say anything, but I could be gone in any instance. And I look at this that I need to try to get as much done in my life to see if I can get as many goals done, because I want to do so much stuff. And I want to look back that, when it does happen, when my time happens, did I do enough? And I want to look back and go, yeah, I made a difference. And getting that motivation to always do things, not only for myself, but for the others out there, is what pushes me even further to do stupid shit. working on Warfare Weekend, doing things with a podcast, doing, playing role playing games, you name it. So, I always have to look at that and go, I don't want to miss a thing, but I want to make sure I did enough things also.
Yes.
So, what you were talking about Google Calendar and stuff and everything, and I don't use a calendar. I technically do, but not to that extent. I just mark down on the calendar, hey, role playing this day type thing, and getting stuff done. But there's a lot of people that need that visual cue, especially when you've got you and another person in your life. How is scheduling around like you and your husband and you and your other friends? How is that working out?
Not too bad. As long as because some people are not as diligent as I am about updating their calendars, I still check in to make sure, because I'll be like, hey, is there anything that's not on the calendar or something that's come up within the last 24 hours? Because we all have our own lives and other people in our lives, and things happen, and yeah, schedules are the BBEG of every D&D party. And just games in general. Like anytime, especially as adults, like when you're not all in the same place, or like some people have some people have kids, some people don't. Like trying to find a time that lines up, a lot of the time you're putting out like, hey, do these dates work? Like, this is what works for me. What is your schedule? And then try to work the best you can. Sometimes you're not going to be able to get together as often as you would like because of schedules. And again, summer is here. School's out, so schedules are going to change again. And like, I tend to change my streaming schedule based on the weather. Like in the winter, I tend to stream later because it's warmer, versus summer where I like to stream earlier if possible because it's cooler in the studio, kind of a thing. It varies, but I am such my fellow neurospices, color coordination is a huge thing. Because I have I have social versus like family stuff versus appointments versus my work schedule and that kind of thing. Everything's a different color.
I have different color pens for my work calendar. And I put everything in there.
Yup.
Cause yes.
Yeah. Having it digitally and accessible from anywhere, because I can access it on my phone, my computer, whatever. Like being able to just pull things up in an instant helps so much, because then you can give an answer sooner than, like, for me, flipping through a book and trying to remember what page I'm on, or waiting until I get home to look at the calendar on the wall, kind of a thing.
And it always helps to have both, because
whatever system works for you.
So like for me, if I write something down, like physically write it down, I'm more likely to remember it. Yes, I still have that digital backup. That way I can easily reference it, but I'm more likely to actually remember it without having to like pull it up and remember where I put it by writing it down.
Yep.
So that helps a lot.
I wish I was like that.
Struggles real. But then you have to remember to write the dang thing down.
Yep.
So if I don't stop what I'm doing and write something down, I'm gonna forget.
Yep. That's why my calendar is the first thing I see when I unlock my phone. Like, it is always there first and foremost. And it'll show me like, okay, here's today. And then I can scroll through and like see the rest of the week, kind of a thing. It just shows me a week at a time. And I'm like, okay, cool. If I need to open up stuff to see a wider view, go for it. But yeah, because you can even like, I don't know where I was going with that. Words.
They fail you now.
Brain fart.
We all just a bunch of neurospices. It's fine.
Yeah.
There is no judgment. We understand.
Yeah, and there's a lot of tools and stuff out there for like coordinating schedules, like, and that's the nice thing about things like Google Calendar or Outlook. You can share them with other people so that everyone sees the same thing. So if a change is made, everyone gets alerted, or a new thing is added, everyone can see it, as opposed to relying on everybody keeping track of it individually. Like there's so many different options out there. So you just find the one that works for you.
Yeah.
So here's another question for you.
42.
42 is not the answer to that.
42 is the answer to everything.
It
Yeah.
is.
When your schedules change, how are you handling that? AKA, games don't show, people don't come in, you know, things of that nature that we've always had to deal with, where somebody, you know, had to
People show up
redo.
2 hours late. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people choose to call it after a certain amount of time. It depends on who's running the game or the people involved. If there's no one, quote unquote, running the game, like, unless somebody's not communicating, don't take it personally, because people have, like, everybody's got their own lives and things that are happening. They are not necessarily canceling because of you. It's because of life and things that have happened. Now, if people aren't showing up on time or are consistently late or whatever and not communicating, that is something to be addressed. And that is something that you can just be like, hey, these are our house rules. If you're going to be gone, we need at least X amount of notice. Or you knew you were doing this, you should have just canceled instead of saying you were going to be a few minutes late and then show up 2 hours late while everybody else sat around waiting for you, kind of a thing. Like, yeah. Changes happen. Go with the flow. Try not to get upset about it unless it's somebody's like deliberately not communicating.
Yo, plot twist. Or pivot.
Yep, pivot. Yeah, there are times where, like, I've straight up just not been in the headspace to run a game, and I'm like, can we just have a Jackbox night where we just chill and not have to think and just be goofballs? And or
Yes.
hey, let's take a week off and everybody sleep in. Or go to bed early.
Take a
Cookie,
reset
I know
week.
you're in for I know you're always in for Jackbox.
Yes.
Next time we have one, Cookie, I'll hit you up. We'll get you and Big Jim in there, because
We need
You
to
two are-
plan a
you two are
Jackbox.
shenanigans incarnate.
Oh, yes.
But yes, we will try to plan another one of those sometime. That'll be fun. Maybe some night on a podcast or some night after the podcast, and
I'm gonna vote after podcast because it's better when things aren't censored.
Oh yeah, no. I didn't mean on the podcast. After the podcast.
After podcast. Cause
Yeah,
'Cause life.
poker or board game nights. Just like I said, pivot. Do something different. Break up the routine. Don't let yourself worry about, like, give yourself if you're the DM, give yourself a break every so often. Or say,
And here's the
hey,
thing.
like, I'm having a really rough week. Is somebody willing to run a one shot
And
or
I was
something
gonna say
like
something.
that?
If you're DM and you take a break, it doesn't mean you have to play. Just take the night off.
Yeah,
Just
that's what I say.
take the night off. You
Sleep.
don't have to.
Relax.
They'll
Self care.
your friends, if they're your friends, they'll understand. Like, hey, work was shit this week, or hey guys, can I just, I just need to sit and read a book for, the time being. Can
I
we,
just need to not.
yeah, I just need to not.
Yes.
Because the game will be there when you get back. I mean, who else
Hmm.
is going to run it? Not your players.
Yeah, true.
It will not be me.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I just heard your voice go, not it.
No.
So, I mean, it's taking the time and doing stuff. I mean, I'm real bad about not taking time for myself and saying no, especially when something's on the line. And I'm like, it's hard to do.
Yeah. And
But,
even if you're like, and if you are gonna cancel, and don't wait till the last second.
oh, yeah.
Like, try to give people notice.
Yeah.
Like, I understand if something happens last minute, like say all of a sudden, like there was one night I had to cancel because my house was flooding in the basement, and we were just
That's-
like, oh, that's yeah,
That's a legitimate reason.
that's an emergency. Those happen. So it's just kind of like, hey guys, I'll be back next week. But yeah, and that's something that you can also talk about with your players. Have a contingency plan, or be like, hey, if we have at least X number of people, I'll still run it. We'll just quote unquote write you out for the session or something like that. And that was something that I picked up from one of my other DMs, because they were used to running an open table game at a game store. Like there was a constant just rotation of players. So, but they needed usually most encounters at a minimum of 3 to 4 people just to make the encounters work, instead of having to do some like last second balancing. Just be like, hey, unless we like, if X number of people cancel, we'll just won't have game this week or something like that. And that's okay.
Seems to be a very common theme with my vampire group. Call out.
Yeah. Yep. So anything else that we can think to add in the next few minutes?
No. One of the things that change. It's going to happen whether we like it or not. Your game's going to change. People are going to change. People just don't want to do things. So I mean, that's going to have to happen. I mean, eventually, things are just going to have to. Will eventually stop. So I mean, you don't feel pressured to do anything. Just have a good time, work through it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. And don't feel pressured to do it. Also, if you're not having fun with it, don't do it. I mean,
yeah,
there's no need to get all up on it. I mean,
yeah,
I enjoy our Sunday nights, and we get together and we hang out, and we paint and we talk. But there are some nights, and we've done it before, where like, guys, yeah, not, and you're like, yep, let's go ahead and call it.
Just need a night.
Just need a night.
Yep.
I need a night to do nothing. Type stuff. So just do it. So
just do it. Sorry.
Enthusiastically take care of yourself.
Yeah, self-care is important.
Yeah.
So I got some pretty foliage on these bases.
Yeah.
I do like that green, yes.
Well, so it's a darker green, and then I washed it with Knoll oil, and then I dry brush it with a light green, and then
that
I
works.
add, just to make things pop. And then I also just wanted to add like some different color leaves in there, and then like this actually is a branch, so these are going to be a light brown. And then of course these are skulls and a rib cage.
Look at the bones.
It's like 4 skulls and a rib cage.
It's very bony.
So, and then I'll go back and I'll wash in and highlight up the other stuff. But I wanted to get the base colors in because make it all pop and make it look like cool.
Yeah.
Stuff. This is
Sweet.
one of 5 different bases. Here's one of the mushroom ones.
Ooh, I like that.
Mushrooms.
We've
Mushies.
got the thick grouping of mushrooms, and then there's these that are here, and then this one has 3 different mushrooms, and just some rocks, no skulls or anything on it.
Is it a cool rock?
It is a cool rock.
Nice.
So cool.
And then this one's just got 1 mushroom, and then a bunch of trees, and like some vines. And then there's one with a big single, but has a skull, big old skull right here. So,
I just had to turn around and look and see if I still had my pet rock that I got for Christmas. Yes, somebody gave me a pet rock for Christmas. I've not named it yet.
You should name
Rocky.
it.
Dwayne.
Here for it.
So, but by the way, if no one's following the Warcrow or the things that we've been posting about Warcrow, they did show off some elven models and such, and they're all like, their armor is like leaves and stuff like that, so it looks really cool. They did
Nice.
show off the demons, and this week was the Mountain Home, the dwarves, and the dwarves have a mech pilot.
Nice.
They showed a picture. They didn't show a model. They just showed a drawn picture, and it's a dwarf riding in this giant mech suit.
That reminds me, I have a mecha goblin somewhere. I need to paint.
We also have a big demon to paint. Some
Yeah,
creature
that's
caster
gonna
models
be
to
a bit
paint.
quiet, you.
What else did I give you, nerd?
Between you and Mike Moans, I have so many goddamn minis. I'm gonna be set for the rest of my life from
Yeah,
minis.
you don't need minis. You don't need any minis whatsoever.
And yet you're printing me things.
Nerd needs minis like I
did
need
not print
paint.
you a mini.
Okay.
You have your dice tray, which was your dice tray was the very first experimental dice tray. So like the walls on your dice tray are much bigger, type thing than everybody else's. But you don't care.
Yeah.
And if you want another one, we can get you another one. But
Nah, it's fine. One's enough. That'll be my like 3rd or 4th dice tray. I think I'm good.
she gave you the eyes. Oh, I know she gave me the eyes. For the amount of like Nerd has so many minis, it's ridiculous. Like she's got an entire Harry Potter universe to paint. She's got all the 3D stuff I printed her. She's got some War Machine, some Warcaster. I think she's probably got about $500 worth of miniatures that I've given her.
Oh, easily.
Yeah. So I should never hear Nerd go, I don't have anything to paint, because I'll be like, bitch, please.
Yeah, and now my friend Mike is just got the licensing to print the Lord of the Rings cats.
Oh.
Uh-huh. So we got Lord of the Rings Muppets. Next is going to be Lord of the Rings cats. Yeah, the cats will be coming at some point, so yes.
I'm here for it. That's great.
So, but I mean, Nerd's got plenty of stuff, and like I said, I'm working on these bases. It's just something just to have a little fun, not worry about. I'm not, giving anything crazy to it. I don't even know when the elves are coming out for Warcrow, but it's just something that is like a palate cleanser for me, because I've been doing the Troll Bloods and such, and I'm just like, I can paint little happy leaves. Little happy leaves. So.
Happy little trees.
So our media section, Mizzy said she had 10 things to talk about. Nerd said 12, and I have 5.
I don't know about 10, but I do have a few.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I have at least 4.
Okay.
I have 6.
Okay. So I'm going to go with something first. And so recently, I was looking at RPGs, and this one came up on my Amazon feed. And
Big shock.
Is, RuneScape Kingdoms. It is done, of course, by Steamforged Games, which I think was hilarious. So my phone's listening to me as I'm talking about Steamforged Games. And yes, this is based off of the video game, RuneScape. Um, this system, I haven't read through fully on everything, but it's a very simple system. It reminds me of Dragonbane a lot. Monsters attack based off of a predetermined set of stuff. It's very similar to Dragonbane. Like, let me find a monster real quick. A Fire Titan. Uh, actions. You roll a D3 and it does one of those three things. That's pretty much about it. So I mean, there's not like anything big or whatever. Um, it's got a crafting system in here that is very much reminiscent of the video game.
Mm-hmm.
It's played with 3d6 for most of the dice roll. You roll 3d6. If you roll your stat and under, it succeeds. So I mean, there's nothing. It's not anything huge. It's not very complicated. I mean, this is the core rule book. I mean, this thing is only with a set of monsters, 215 pages. Let's see, of actual thing, 208 pages of actual document, and then there's a bunch of, lore in the front of it. So I mean, it's a very simple game. I could actually see this being played as like you and one person. You being the GM and one person. You could probably do this solo if you really wanted to, if you could figure out, whatever. But it could be simple and easy. Not a huge system, very easy to grasp. Crafting system's pretty easy. Losing materials, crafting materials, everything's done by rolling 3d6 and getting lower than your stat score. Equal or lower to your stat score. Simple and easy.
Okay.
No problem. I'm not done reading it, but I mean, in a world of RPGs, when you've got things that are super super complicated, it's a good good breath of fresh air type thing. Especially if you got like, this would be great if you had like young kids, because
Okay.
they could figure out, they could roll 3d6, count up the six dice or the three dice, and go, did you get that number or lower? Yes. Then you succeeded, type thing. So I mean, it's very simple. I could see this, as like my first RPG, that type of thing. Not hard, but it goes into some good depths on things like, oh, I need to craft this sword. Here's how you do it. But not bad. Mizzy?
I'm gonna start with one of the shorts that I watched this morning. I was scrolling through Disney Plus in their little Pride collection that they've got going on, because Pride Month, and we are all on our gay shit. But I came across this short called Out, I believe it's called.
I love that one so much.
It is so freaking cute. It's about this guy who's not out to his parents. He's in the middle of moving, and these like magical cat and dog show up and enchant his dog's collar, and they switch places, and it leads to him being able to come out to his parents. And it's just so adorable and heartwarming and a very easy watch. And
because they're only
Zero.
like what, 15 minutes or so.
10
This
and a half
one-
minutes.
yeah,
And it's
like
on YouTube.
actual content, I would say it's like 6 minutes without the credits and everything. It's
That's
just
true. Yeah.
loved it. Highly recommend it if you want a quick little watch to get in your feels and be like, oh my god, yes. Yes. This one.
You want to cry? It'll make you cry. It'll hit you right in the field.
It didn't make me cry, but a lot of things don't make me cry.
I cry at everything. That's true.
I cry at everything in real life. When it comes to movies and TV shows, it takes a lot for me to cry.
I am the opposite.
I just get
Anyway.
stressed out.
Yeah, it's
Anyway.
a coping, stressing mechanism.
Yes, I cry about everything. It's called Out.
Yeah, it's on the Pixar YouTube channel as well if you don't have Disney Plus. Well, what kind of a rating would you give it?
0, because it's perfection. No
He's
space
good.
herpes.
No space
It's-
herpes.
Is perfect. Nerd.
I
you got?
watched a 2009 anime movie called Redline. It is a racing movie. It is the soundtrack, first of all, amazing.
Oh yeah.
It's all hand drawn animation, fantastic. I watched the dubbed version, of which one of the voice actors is Liam O'Brien from Critical Role, so that just made it better for me. But it's just adrenaline fueled craziness. Like, it opens with one of the races and doesn't really slow down from there. I really enjoyed it. It was different from what I normally would watch in terms of anime, but I'm not mad about that. I give it like maybe a half, because some of the writing was a little weird, but it could just be context for me. But I really liked it.
Cool.
Gonzo?
Nice.
So I watched the new episode of Alkalite, which is the new Star Wars Disney series, and this show is getting a ton of hate. Well, I'll
That's
never
unfortunate.
understand Star Wars fans, because they'll be like, we don't want to see Luke Skywalker or any of the Skywalker stuff. We don't want to see anything that's been done already. Give us something new. And they give him something new, and they're hating on it. This was a flashback episode leading up to the characters of what's going on. And they don't specifically say it, but there are Force witches in this. It's not the Dagamoth or whatever you pronounce it, witches that I know of. I can't remember. But it's an interesting story and tale, because there were people talking about, well, this lady created him with the Force. No, the lady said she didn't. The people are reading way too much into this, but it is a very Dathomir. People are reading way too much into this and pushing too much of their own agenda into it. This episode was good. Didn't have any issues. It's good to see everything that is not just standard Jedi Force stuff and standard,
Sith.
which I love the Sith. I would love, Sith. I mean, we'll never see a Darth Vader movie or a Darth Vader TV show, because you don't want to sympathize with Darth Vader when he's going around killing Jedi. And
Yeah.
he's murdering everybody. You don't want to. You only want to sympathize him when he's at the end of Return of the Jedi. And so when they give us something like this, the Alkalite, which is in the very far past, people don't get it. Now, I understand that some people don't like, the Force Foo, where people are on strings. I get that. That's more of a thing. I would rather see something like, Darth Maul and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn fighting.
It's better. At least it's better than the super CGI.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm enjoying it. It's still interesting. It's still fun. I think it's going to be a one and done type thing. I don't think there's going to be any more episodes out of it, which I'm okay. I don't mind that. I really wish, and we won't get this until they do the new Star Wars movies coming out, but I'd like to see far future stuff. I would love. There was rumors of a Old Republic with Keanu Reeves as one of the Jedi Masters, and I would be like,
Ooh.
oh yeah,
What?
yeah.
Ooh.
I'd be
What?
all in for a Jedi Old Republic with Keanu Reeves as a
Hell
Jedi.
yes.
Yes.
But I think that's
yes.
just gone by. But I mean, this is Old Republic style. This is Jedi when they were beginning, when they were in the mass, and we're going to see a red saber type this, because it's already been shown. Are we going to see a Sith? No clue. Do I hope we see a Sith? Yeah, I hope I see a Sith come out and just kill motherfuckers dead, because I want a bad guy that isn't this, I'm only going to touch you and hurt you. No, I want a Sith to come out and be a Sith and just kill a bunch of people. because we need bad guys that are bad dudes. We
Yeah.
need to hate bad guys. And
We
I
don't
want to
want.
see this.
We need more Moff Gideon type.
Yeah. We need evil motherfuckers, and I hope this is what happens. It's not over with. We got a few more episodes coming, so I'm going to wait for a full review, but I'm enjoying it still. No issues. Minor issues if we want to talk about it. Mizzy?
Let's go with something that I watched Friday night. So I signed up for this movie because I thought that the little pink baby lizard was adorable. So I watched Ultraman Rising on Netflix. It's a new one. Just came out, I think. I did not sign up to get my feelings hurt the way that they did.
I saw that on there, and when you said you were watching, I was like, oh, I'm going to wait for her to see what she says on it before I watch it. Because Ultraman is not supposed to be... Ultraman is about violent and combat and doing things, and I saw this little cutesy baby creature, so I'm like, let's see where this goes. So, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt, but that's where
fine.
I was at.
Yeah, so I loved it. I didn't have any issue with it. It was adorable in the ways that I was wanting it to be adorable. But fuck me, it got me in my feels. Like the whole storyline with his dad, and you know how he came into possession of the baby is just and then that heartbreaking scene in the middle of it. I'm not going to spoil it but there's a scene where you just question everything up to that point of why am I doing this to myself in the best way. So highly recommend it. I'm going to give it a half because of some of the things with the bad guy involved in it that I'm like, I kind of wish they went into more detail about that. But overall, I loved it and cannot get enough of it. And the pink baby lizard, Kaiju. Here.
I watched, so the next couple that I'm gonna talk about, I'm not rating because they're documentaries. Well, one I'll give a rating to, the other one not. So the first one I watched was Lala, which is about the history of Lollapalooza, the music festival. That was a fun, crazy ride, just learning about all the different artists that were involved. And I had no idea that it started with Perry Farrell of Jane's Addiction. Like, I never knew the origins of Lollapalooza. Like, it started in the early 90s. They had so many people involved in that it just snowballed from there and got bigger and bigger and bigger. But I very much enjoyed it. It's not it's not one of those over dramatized documentaries like the next one I'll talk about, but it was cool. I like some good music history. So what was that on? I don't even remember what it was.
This is why we have Google.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna do. Paramount Plus.
Yeah. There we go.
So, all right, Gonzo.
Going to talk about a documentary I watched this today, which is actually about my teenage years and brought back a lot of flashbacks. It is a documentary called Bratz. And Bratz is about the 80s group of young actors and actresses that were appearing in every fucking movie when I was a teenager. Emilio Estevez, Molly Ringwald, we can go on. The 16 Candles, The Breakfast Club, all of these,
nice.
All these 80s movies that I grew up with, Pretty in Pink, St. Elmo's Fire.
All the John Hughes movies, yep.
Yes, yep. Mm-hmm. And all this stuff. And it was, because at one point...
The Coreys.
that was all the movies we had. And these actors were in everything, you name it. And then an article came out calling this group of actors the Brat Pack, and it actually, I won't say ruined their careers, but pretty much ended all their careers for a bit, because you didn't see them after a certain time frame. Like Molly Ringwald just dropped off, everybody started dropping off, and everybody's back working and everybody's doing things. And so it was a documentary about getting back with those people and talking to them, because like Demi Moore, was part of that, with St. Elmo's Fire and all this stuff. And it was talking to like the directors and the production of people, and they tried to get a hold of like Molly Ringwald to see if she wanted to talk, because I mean she was pivotal, in my movie, type thing. She was the it girl, Ali Sheedy type thing, and this stuff, still Team Ducky, by the way. I don't care. So they still, they go back, about how they had to reshoot, Pretty in Pink and stuff. Yeah, the Coreys weren't in the Brat Pack. So, but we get what the thing. And it was about how the article made them feel like they were privileged brats. And they weren't. They were just young actors trying to get by and just do everything they could. In a lot of the movies, it was funny, they talked to some of the people that they did movies with, and then they talked to modern pop culture movie reviewers, and they're like, the movies they did are still pivotal today because people still watch Breakfast Club, and it's still relevant today.
Mm-hmm.
And all the subjects are still relevant, John Hughes and all this other stuff. And it was interesting because they talked about how the original Pretty in Pink, they had to reshoot the entire ending because the ending that they originally had was horrible, and it got booed, and people actually threw things at the screen when it happened in the pre-screening type thing. But like Molly Ringwald and Judd Nelson didn't make an appearance. Molly just made a comment that, the past is behind us, let's leave it there. And she's acting in other things now. And then Judd Nelson, he's acting in a few things. And they didn't make it, but Emilio, Demi, and a bunch of other people. But, it got me, going that, they were all making movies. St. Elmo's Fire was huge. Because this was more the adult thing, less of the teenager thing. And then they all just disappeared. It was like everybody, you just never saw them anymore. Because they even included like Tom Cruise, wasn't part of the Brat Pack, but it was part of that time era where it was young adults just destroying the movie scene. It was all about young adults, no matter what. And they were just kicking the shit out of movies, and everybody was doing it. So it got me talking. There's one of my old coworkers. She's the same age as I, and we were like, we need to do, not like a Brat Pack movie, but like movies in that time, and just go back and watch them, and hang out and talk about them. And I was like, because they were very, thing. And if you haven't watched Breakfast Club, I'm sorry, go watch Breakfast Club. It is one of the best movies of all time.
Yeah.
It is still relevant to this day. And
an amazing soundtrack.
Oh yeah, amazing soundtrack. 16 Candles, a little bit, more comedy. Was it Pretty in Pink was a little off. Some Kind of Wonderful is one of my hidden gems that I like, just because there's some actors in there that I thought was really good. Eric Stoltz was really good in that. And they hit on a bunch of movies that are there, and I'm like, you would not have, and they made it very poignant, you would not have the CW shows today if it wasn't for those actors doing the movies that they did.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were such an influence on that. And I was like, I didn't really think about that, but yeah, I can agree with that. So it did get a little slow at times because they were talking to people. I was like, I don't care about, this production assistant or this producer point of view. I wanted to hear from the people that were in the movies. So a little slow in the middle, but it was still interesting to see, because I didn't know that affected them so much. I just thought it was, the nature of the beast, they're getting too old for their roles, so they had to, get other people to do it. So.
Yep.
And I looked up a few of the actors and actresses, and they're all doing stuff. So It's good. Mizzy?
I also watched a documentary this week,
Man, we're on a documentary kick.
right?
Yeah. So I've got
Um, So I was scrolling through Netflix and seeing what they were recommending, and it turns out that they've got a new edition for Remembering Gene Wilder.
Amazing, dude.
Yes. It it's really heartbreaking to see someone so talented forget themselves because because of how he passed away. It was due to Alzheimer's complications, which just seeing where he came from and how he got his start. Like he credited a show that he was in on theater where the girlfriend of Mel Brooks played the cast, where he was miscast into the part that he was in. And had it not been for that event, he wouldn't have been where he was. Like Wonko never would have happened. Blazing Saddles never would have happened. Anything like that. It's so unique and amazing. And Young Frankenstein, even, you know.
Yeah.
And just it was really interesting to see how it all connected with the domino effect. But then the ending of it just gut wrenching. Because there were moments where his wife was talking about how he even forgot about Young Frankenstein and doing all of that, and how they just had so much fun making that. So I learned a lot, and then I was like, damn, I really want to watch some Mel Brooks and Gene Wilder movies, and only one of them is streaming, and that is Blazing Saddles. So I was a little disappointed that I couldn't watch The Producers, because I was like, damn, I really want to watch that.
Nerd?
I watched Ren Fair on Max, which is about the Texas Ren Fair, which is the largest in the country, if not the world, Renaissance festival that's been owned and run by the same guy for 50 years. And he's retiring, and it's about trying to sell the fair to someone else. At first he wasn't going to, he was just going to pass it down in his will, and there's all this infighting. It's definite. They call it a docu-fantasia because it's not just a straight documentary. There's obviously drama infused into it. George, oh God, what is his name? Hold on. George something, because they call him King George. The guy who owns it. George Coulomb. Known to his employees as King George. He's 86 years old. Like, it starts off with him trying to find someone to spend the rest of his life with, and he's like looking for a sugar baby and all sorts of other weird stuff. But then it gets into all the drama between all the different people, because he is not only the owner and runner of the Ren Fair, but he's also the mayor of the town that it exists in, and he built housing for all of the like regular vendors and performers to live on the property. So it's this very weird mishmash of stuff, but it was kind of giving me a little bit of Tiger King vibes, just in terms of the overproduction of it. But yeah, no, this guy is a character, definitely. It is. I don't think it's going to hurt the reputation of Ren Fairs in general, coming from somebody who was a Ren Fair performer, because I was worried that they were going to kind of Tiger King it in terms of and possibly like deter people from going to Ren Fairs because they are going to expect drama like this. But no, it was. I give it like 2 because of the over dramatization of it. It was, but yeah, it's still a documentary ish.
Yeah, I watched episode 1 and I was like, meh.
Yeah, it's a 3-part docuseries.
So I'm gonna give something a little lighthearted. So we're kind of documentaries. Delicious in Dungeon ended its first season.
And it got renewed for season 2.
Yeah. So and immediately after that, the press is releasing that it got renewed for season 2, which I'm glad for, because I mean this was 24 episode long season, which is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, huge. I thought
I
this
haven't
was
seen shows like that since the 90s.
Yeah.
That were that long.
I'm currently watching Golden Girls, and their episodes are their seasons are 25 to 28 episodes long.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, to have something that has 24 episodes and be a cartoon, I don't know if it's hand drawn or computered or whatever, but I mean I'm pretty sure it's computered, but it's
Just wait till you get to Twink Senshi. That's all I'm gonna say.
you know what's so interesting about this whole thing is they made a dungeons fantasy crawling, because they don't leave the dungeon. It's all in one dungeon, and it's all about food, and everybody's eating this up. Even people that aren't into anime are like, a fantasy show, and this is cool. And
it's a cooking fantasy show that happens to be an anime.
Yeah. But it also goes to show that people really would like to have a good fantasy RPG style anime, and people are getting into it, and I liked it. It was pretty good. It's got the good Dungeons and Dragons feel. It's got the whole thing, and there's always some cooking of some monster in it, of whatever, but you learn about characters, you learn about races, you learn about the dungeon and everything.
It gives me so many ideas as a DM.
Yeah. But there's a lot of good things in there. They're only 30-minute episodes roughly, and I mean, it was pretty good. I'm glad it got renewed for a second season because we didn't get a finishing of the story. I have a feeling we'll get like a second season, 24 episodes, and it'll be done, and I'd be okay with that. So I'm happy with it. But we need more shows like this. It is kind of a niche thing where it's like everything's based around food in the dungeon, but it's like this monster. We can eat this monster because of X, Y, Z, so let's go and kill it. And so they do the killing and dungeon crawling, because it's a good little fantasy dungeon crawling show with cooking thrown in. So it'll be interesting to see how season 2 goes. I don't know if it's going to be how long it's going to take, but they need to quit doing years between shows now.
Yes.
And I'm going to say this because we're not going to have time for me to go over Bridgerton, but the last episodes of Bridgerton are done, and we have to wait 2 years for the next season. 2 years. So I hope they don't take long. Overall, the first season, I'd give it like a 0.5 to 1. There was a little bit in there, but it was still fun and good. Nerd Mizzy, you got something you got to go? Got like 1 minute.
Pokemon Concierge on Netflix. It's a limited series. It's 4 episodes, 15 minutes each. It's a really easy watch and really fun. Go watch it.
Devil's Cord episode of the new Doctor Who with Jinx Monsoon. She is unhinged, and I love it. So good.
Maestro is amazing.
Yes. It was a great villain. Oh my god.
And I love how they did the pronoun thing at the very beginning, and then they were just moved on. I was like, yes.
Yep. All right.
Loved it.
Which I also want to talk about Doctor Who, but the season finale is next week. This week was still a good episode, and I'm not a huge Doctor Who fan, but this Doctor is really good. I'm enjoying the shit out of it. So, although I think Rogue is the best episode by far. Other than that, I think that's it.
That's it. It's 8:30.
It is 8:30.
Boom.
Guys, like it says, next week, It'll be me, Mizzy, and Zeke. We'll be talking about War Machine and armies and other things that are happening. We'll be having a good time with that. Make sure you stick around for it. Other than that, I don't think that's it. Don't forget to join us on Wednesday night, where we'll be doing some painting and hanging out. Come and chill with us. Shadow Sword always is usually there, always talking about miniatures. And it's only a couple of hours, so it's not a big deal, but lets us help get studied back on our projects.
Shadow Sword, Cookie. Everybody else?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah. Looks like the Painting Dad has just started, so we can give him some views. He's only got one person watching, guys. Let's go over to the Painting Dad and give him a shout out and a follow.
Ooh, let's go.
Let's help that man out. He probably doesn't need it, but it's always nice to do. So,
Yes.
as usual, people, please take care of yourself. Please look after each other. If you see something, say something. If you hear something, say something. If you can do something, do something. If you can't, find somebody that will, because we got to look after each other. For More Than Dice, I'm Gonzo.
I'm Nerd.
Now, Mizzy.
Good night.
Thanks for listening to More Than Dice, making the world a better, nerdier place, one dumb joke at a time. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. For more nerdy action or to connect with your hosts, check them out on Facebook.com/morethandice and Twitch.tv/more_than_dice. Until next time, stay nerdy, stay proud, and we'll see you soon on the More Than Dice podcast.